The Environmental Service Group draws in together a broad group of scientists and engineers and planners and also machine operators. We have WAMC, Waste Asset Management Corporation, within the group, and also a contaminated land division within the group. Between the two of them, we're able to offer a one-stop shop for contaminated land remediation and assessment. We're doing this for various agencies within the government, and currently we're able to produce both environmental investigation reports, we're planning assessments, and also actually undertake the earthworks and soil removal where needed. Typically we're looking at some pretty difficult projects. At the moment we're planning around commencing the Hunters Hill remediation, which is a site which has got radiological material on it. It's a really difficult access site. It's a site which the government has had issues with for the past 60 years or so.
This has been a challenging site because this is something that's very, very rare in Australia. This is normally done on large industrial sites rather than actually residential. For this particular process, we'll be doing some excavation works and appropriate disposal of the material. A lot of this is being actually prepared by one of the other government agencies, which is the Waste Asset Management Corporation. On this particular site, to achieve this, we've actually had various government departments come together to create the outcome for this particular site, which will also hopefully at the end of the day allow these sites to be sold for ongoing residential use, which will be a significant benefit for the local residents.
Key services that we provide also are rehabilitation of landfill sites. Landfill sites typically are locations where over 30, 40 years there's been a lot of waste dumped, and they're not really of any use to anyone. The beneficial reuse opportunities are pretty low on these types of sites, and that's because of compaction, gas production and leachate production on the sites. What we've been able to produce on these are some really good green spaces for local residents, and these include golf courses, the Belrose site, which you see footage of, which is turning into a bike park now, putt-putt courses and walking tracks over the top of these sort of areas. So one of our future projects is to actually install a lot of solar cells over the top of a few of these sites as well. So we're really opening up these sites for beneficial reuse for the public.
This was an operational landfill, so you can imagine what went in here was just garbage on top of garbage on top of garbage. So the landfill itself is that mound at the top there, that's the actual landfill itself. Completely useless space. You've got gas infrastructure sticking out everywhere. Odour was horrendous at one point at the same time as well, so we've actually come in, installed brand new leachate and gas infrastructure, fixed up all the odour issues, built the bike park so it's actually a usable space, because most landfills do settle quite a bit, so you can't build anything structurally static. So with a mountain bike track, it's actually become quite usable now, rather than having a completely bare space to land with just grass on top of it. Tracks themselves range from beginners to advanced, and at the top there we also have a pump track again for beginners to advanced as well. There's about 3 kilometres of track in total. We've set aside $2 million for the construction of the facility, and $1.5 million will be handed over to the Northern Beaches Council for the ongoing management and maintenance of the facility for, I think it was a 20-year agreement. So what WAMC did, we built most of the sandstone base of the tracks, and then a specialist contractor, which is Dirt Up, came in afterwards and built all the jumps and features.
The Eastern Creek facility was closed in 2017. This is one of our larger landfill sites. We received putrescible waste over a number of years, and the current site requirements are to manage the post-closure management, which entails environmental monitoring, gas and leachate management and revegetation management predominantly. And this will be happening into the future for at least the next 20 to 30 years. Prior to installing the renewable energy facility and the gas collection, there were issues associated with the operations, which predominantly included odour issues. We used various methods to deal with these, like local odour control systems, but the introduction of the active gas extraction and the renewable energy facility allowed us to effectively manage our environmental requirements, whilst obviously increasing our potential for revenue throughout the operational phase.
My role in the project was as an in-house expert to drive best practices for environment and safety. The way I achieved this was getting a copy of the standards, meeting with the leadership team, identifying the business's strengths and weaknesses, improving on them to achieve regulatory best practice. The journey involved undertaking a gap assessment, re-examining our hazard and risk profiles, realigning our standard working procedures to international best practice for our landfill sites. The way that we've used an innovative approach is to use an online compliance tracking system called Integrum. It provides a reporting framework that improves our efficiencies, identifying hazards and our risks for key projects.
The key benefits of this project were basically around environmental benefits, which involve carbon abatement. The renewable energy facility was able to reduce our CO2 emissions, and methane has the 25 times the potential of carbon dioxide, so it's quite important we did that. And throughout the project we were able to reduce in a typical year we're able to reduce the carbon emissions by 2,500 tonnes per annum. And that also, the other benefit was generating revenue for the project, and per annum we typically generate around $2.5 million, which goes back into the operating budget for waste asset management.